Hey, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? You are tuned in to the Status Network, the live TV channel, and this is the Conversation Corner with your host, Author Andrew Snorton. And let's get ready to have a conversation. As usual, we've got great people that we have on the show covering a lot of ground, entertainment, business, community, and more. But before we get into our guests, we're going to make sure to do a couple of real quick announcements regarding the station and some of the projects that yours truly is working on. First, for those of you that are tuned in, we are extremely grateful and appreciative of you taking time to support us, and not only supporting me and supporting the show and supporting the channel, but supporting the entire Status Network family of channels, programs, hosts. We cover a whole lot of ground here, and we're very grateful that you have been along with us for the ride. In order to best view tonight's show, make sure to tune in to statusnetwork.net. Click on channels, click on live TV, that's LIVE TV. Click on the Conversation Corner, and you're good to go. But in order to view with a little bit less instructions, how about downloading the free app Status Network? Make sure to go ahead and click on channels, live TV, and we're already up and running. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Periscope, and your other social media platforms. Make sure to add Status Network and live TV. For those of you that have Roku, you definitely want to tune in on the Status Network. The same thing with Amazon Fire Stick. And of course, in order to connect with the host, please, 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 pretty please. And again, make sure to tune in and connect with Author Andrew Snorton on Facebook. That's AUTHOR, not Arthur. I've heard that before. That's not my name. It's the author, it's the title. But you can also add me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube at Author A. Snorton. So thank you for tuning in. And now, a couple of announcements regarding yours truly, as it's been a great past few days. Shouts to the great people in the state of Mississippi. That's right. Those are photos of my time in the SIP. 3 years in a row as a participating author in the Mississippi Book Festival. Many thanks to all those wonderful people you see pictured there, the coordinators and all that, as since I started wearing the author hat back in 2017, they've been kind enough to have me. So I'm looking forward to going back there. I guess it's August 16th, 2020. So definitely thanks to them. The next shout that I definitely want to give is to the folks at Pseudo Bar and Grill out in Conyers, the Far East Metro. Many shouts to the owners, the staff, everybody. We did a signing there from 3 to 5, and because at the end of the week I'm getting ready to turn the page, another 360 degrees rotation around the earth. So yeah, it's a birthday cake, but there's a neat story behind it. It's not entirely mine. You'll have to tune in to find out more. But thanks for the folks out at Pseudo. September 5th is the next Metro Atlanta book signing I'll do at Nubian Bookstore. So for those of you in Morrow, Georgia, Clayco, South Fulton, you name it, make sure to get out there. Shouts to Marcus Williams doing some awesome things there. So make sure to meet and greet. Get your copy, get your copies personalized and all that. So thanks for September 5th. And then another big one that is coming up, September 20th, making the trip back up to the Triad, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Wake Forest University. So before you enjoy the party so dear and the outdoor concert, I believe it's with the Four Tops, if I'm not mistaken. So before you enjoy some old school R&B and all that type of wonderful stuff, make sure to stop by the University Bookstore from 1 to 4 p.m. I'll be there signing both of my books, which made the top 1,000, which is not bad since I've only been wearing this hat since 2017. But another awesome note, finally, the audio book, The Author's Mixtape, is available. And a neat thing about September 20th, a portion of all the sales that day, so the on-campus sales, downloads, portion will be donated to some great university entities grounded in student success. So we're real excited. The next thing I want to remind you all of is a great series I've been able to do thanks to the network and thanks to Creative Community Solutions, and that is Nothing Minor. That's been the series that we've done on minor league baseball. And while I was in Jackson, Mississippi, I was able to make a short field trip about 8-10 minutes down the road to Pearl, Mississippi, which is where the Mississippi Braves play. So the Mississippi Braves are the AA affiliate of the Atlanta Braves. And in addition to being able to interview Brady Shoemake, who, those of you that follow baseball, left his junior year of Texas A&M this year, got drafted in June, 23rd pick overall, so he's one of the two first-round picks of the Braves. Guess what, y'all? Brady made his Double-A debut, and that's saying a whole lot when you're 2-3 months removed from college and you're like 2 levels below Major League Ball. But the interview that we're going to get ready to show in just a couple moments is with the Metro Atlanta product, Trey Harris. And Trey's got a great story. Trey actually is from Powder Springs, and his backstory is where he ended up getting drafted towards the end of the draft last year. But he's worked his way up to the Double-A level, and I tell you what, just a great guy who understands it and things along those lines. So we're going to go ahead in just a few moments and go ahead and catch that interview with Trey Harris as part of the Nothing Minor series. So we're definitely looking forward to it. Now, I don't know if we'll get in any more minor league games because minor league ball kind of winds down this weekend. And unless the team's made the postseason, their season is basically done unless they get called up. But in just a few moments, we're going to catch that Nothing Minor, that interview with Trey Harris. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Andrew Snorton with Creative Community Solutions in tandem with the Status Network, and this is our Nothing Minor series, putting the spotlight on minor league baseball. Today has us in Jackson, Mississippi, and we've got a special guest here. Could you go ahead and let people know who you are?
Trey Harris from Atlanta, Georgia, and I play for the Braves.
Okay, Trey, every player I've talked to has focused on, thematically what they want to improve on individually, as well, not only all aspects of your game, but sometimes there's one thing that kind of stands out more than the others. What would you say was one of the big things you wanted to lock in on for this year?
I think one of the big things for me was just making my swing mine. I feel like growing up, you have 100 different coaches kind of telling you how it's supposed to look, how it's supposed to go. But until you make it your own, it's hard to make adjustments. So I just focused this year on making my own adjustments, understanding myself so that I didn't go into 0 for 30 ruts, that I just kept consistent throughout the year.
Another question I have, as the season's winding down and, it's hot as Hades outside today, what are some things that you do individually to keep your focus knowing, hey, there's still, opportunities to improve, grow? What are some things that have helped you maintain your focus?
I think just every day you have to compete against yourself. I look at my at-bats and 10s, and I try to be 3 for 10 every time. So if I just look at my at-bats in the games in little increments, it makes it a lot easier to compete at a high level. So I just try to compete with myself every day, and in the process, it makes the season seem to go by faster.
Okay. What's one thing that you guys as a team have been able to do to keep it balanced? And everyone says, consistency is key, things along those lines, but you've got to keep it balanced because, like you said, there's going to be times that things just don't go as smoothly. But what's one thing thematically that you can share?
I think we just try to have fun. We try to smile. We play ping pong. We really let go and make the game itself. When you're between the lines, it's time to be serious. But when you're out of it, let's joke, have fun. Because if you try to make everything you do from 1 o'clock till game time, you'll be worn out. So just trying to stay ourselves and be us, and it works out.
Okay. And for our younger viewers, from Little League to American Legion, high school, college, I know there's a lot that you learn each and every day. What would you say is one central thing that you'd like to share that other people can take away?
I think you should play hard every day. You should be dirty. If you don't leave the field dirty, you haven't been successful. I mean, even at my level, I try to be as dirty as possible because that means I play hard. And people notice who plays hard on the field every day, no matter if you go 0 for 4 or 4 for 4. If you play the game the right way, it will be noticed.
Okay, well, Trey, thank you. Just like all of the teams and players that we've been able to cover, appreciate you taking and making the time. Best wishes, not only individually but collectively, for the rest of the season and beyond. And thanks for shouting out, the hometown and everything.
No problem.
So appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. And again, ladies and gentlemen, that was the first interview with Trey Harris. Make sure that you check out the Nothing Minor series, as we covered minor league ball, Gwinnett, Birmingham, Greenville, Greensboro. Let me make sure I'm not forgetting anyone. Mississippi, Chattanooga. We covered a whole lot. So that gives you an idea of what we're up to. And now this is the great part of the show where you get a chance to talk with, engage, and connect with some wonderful people doing wonderful things. So hello, wonderful person to my left. How you doing?
I am excellent. Great day to you, sir.
Well, thank you kindly. And could you please share with our viewers who you are, where you are based from, and where you're, based out of right now?
My name is Kris10. I am the CEO of Kris10 Media, LLC. Actually, I'm based out of Atlanta, Georgia. So
Look at here. You're
Oh,
one.
yeah.
You're one of the 1 out of 100 people. What, Atlanta born and raised?
I know.
Okay, I see.
But I am Atlanta operated.
Okay,
So we're gonna
Atlanta
maximize that
operated.
opportunity,
We
yes.
got it. Atlanta operated. Atlanta operated. Share with our viewers a little bit about what were some things as you think about your progression from growing up to where you are now. What were a couple things that you used to kind of engage with? What were your interests, things that you liked to do?
So it goes back to my greatest inspiration. My greatest inspiration is my parents. I grew up watching my dad play and sing. My mom would sing. My dad would play the guitar with his band. It was always an inspiration to entertain. And then from a spiritual perspective, my mom was a pastor. So my roots are God.
So definitely, wow. So the church, from what I understand, a lot of artists, whether I don't know, singers, instrumental, whatnot, church was really, a key factor for you. So it sounds like you had the spiritual base, with your mom, the creative base, not just music, but tapping into other elements of arts and what have you. Walk us through. So here you are, you've got the spiritual base, you're definitely getting the creative skill set and what have you. What could you look back? What were some of the early things that you did within those two realms?
Well, I sing, and I was a poet as a kid. So I would write poetry. My mom would have us do things like memorize books, and one of the books that I would memorize is a series called Amelia Bedelia. So,
Oh, wow, Amelia Bedelia.
hey, Amelia Bedelia was one of my favorite series. So it was something that shaped excellence, I believed.
Mm-hmm.
She would always say, hey, do the book. And I would go from start to finish the entire book. And what it did was it just allowed me to perform. It allowed me to speak. Anytime I would, mess up with my grammar, she would correct me. And then on Sundays, I would see her speak. And then at home, I would see them sing and play. And I always had a desire to take the message of the gospel into a form that it could be received outside of just the pulpit.
I see what you're saying. So the key thing is, and a number of our guests have talked about, the importance of reading, because it is such a bridge on so many levels: your vocabulary, your public speaking, your creative thought, and things along those lines. You talk about your spiritual base, which a number of guests, have spoken about and what have you. So and continuing to move forward. So here you are. You have these moving parts: the spiritual base, the creative arts, the public speaking, poetry, all that. Could you recall a moment that you felt was really key or pivotal for you to go in the, on your current path or current direction?
I honestly, the pivotal moment in my life, I was a freshman in high school. And so you would think with all of that background, I was on the straight and narrow, but I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Got in trouble in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to be funny. Are you ready for this?
Sure.
I can laugh about it now. It wasn't funny then, but it's funny now. And I decided that I wanted to be a drug dealer.
Really?
Nobody knows this. This is
Being
right.
transparent.
This is transparency at its
Mm-hmm.
fate, but I did. And I brought marijuana to school.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the first week of school, second day, brought the weed into the classroom and showed it to everybody. Said, hey, I have this. If you guys need this is how green I was. If you need this,
No
I'm your
pun
girl.
intended.
I wanted to be the plug. Okay? Okay?
Uh-huh.
And I showed it, put it back in my pocket, and I'm going to band. I'm in band 101 playing the saxophone. I get a call over the intercom, and they're like, hey, Kris10 Media, please come to the office.
Uh-huh.
Cool. I stick it in my shoe. No worries. They're never going to think. I'm not even thinking what I've implicated myself in. So
Clearly.
and I get kicked out of school. Long story short, I'm kicked out of school. My parents are distraught, they are upset, they are shocked. We raised you in the church. You quoted a million Bedelia books. What is wrong with you? And now I want to be this big boss queen. That was my thing.
Really?
Really.
And you know what? And
That was it.
so in other words, you took that creative talent from reading and you
around.
just went in a totally different direction. Clearly that did not work out too well for you.
But it did.
Okay. And how?
Because in that moment, I was kicked out of school. So here's where you get to know God for yourself. And there was no possibility for me to get back into school. I was expelled. But I remember praying. I was like, God, you know, if you would help me in this situation, I promise with my life that I'll never do this again. And I remember going into, because we had to go to a tribunal. It was
Like
court.
panel, yeah.
And I remember holding my hands like this. This was Jesus, and these were my angels right here. And I went into the tribunal holding my hands like this. And they said, hey, you had a great record. And at that moment, not only will we give you another shot, we're going to allow you to go to class, but now you have to go to class and you're going to have to go to in-school suspension for 30 days. I get to the school, the principal says, you know what, you're not going to learn anything in in-school suspension, so I'm going to allow you to go to class. Now, during class change, you'll send you in isolation, but once you're done, you get to go to class, you need to learn, and I'm going to give you another chance. At that moment, I knew God for myself. At that moment, it created a fearlessness and a trust, a faith process, a faith walk. I've been using that ever since. That's my foundation. So when I say that worked for me, that worked for me. That was the best thing that ever happened to me. I loved it. I didn't go back quoting a million Bedelia books, but I did start quoting the Word of God, and it shaped the very foundation of my life to now.
And
Everything I do is that.
And I'm glad you shared that because, you know, like you said, on the surface, like, oh my goodness, what's going on? But you know what? You know, from adversity, there's a number of positive and number of constructive things. And you're not the first guest to have said this. A number of folks for their pivotal moment, it was one of those reality checks. And it was one of those, you know, taking something that could have really derailed and gone in a different direction. And I know, you know, especially sometimes in sermon, you talk about a God of a second chance. And now in the whole theme of redemption and restoration and walking in a totally different path. So now that you're walking in a different path, walk through with our viewers. And one of the things that we're kind of talking about before coming on is, even with what you're doing professionally, you're still immersing so much of your grounding, your stewardship and outreach. So walk through with our viewers through the lens of what you're doing professionally. You know, what are you doing? But how is that, you know, kind of really it's more of an extension of who you are and what you do?
God, you know, I always say that my God is a God for the underdogs. I love it. Redemption is something that I think that's the only thing we could hope for in life. So if you make a mistake or if something happens, as long as there's hope for another chance, then that's worth living. So everything that I do is my second chance in life. Every client that I take, Kris10 Productions, we take on clients who want to grow their business, who feel like, and there are clients that we have right now who are working on that second leg. I need another chance. I want to revamp. And so the passion comes in is, okay, here I am. I have a source. I am a resource. Anything that you have, the foundation, the root of who you are, I want to take your vision and we're going to build it. And we're going to push it. And I promise you, with every resource that I have, everything that I am, everything that God has created me to be, whatever your vision is, we're going to build it. And I'm going to help you. And I'm going to walk with you. And we're going to grow. And that's the message of the kingdom, which is also what I do in business. The root of it is growth. The root of it is blessings and prosperity. The root of it is lessons and trials and overcoming and redemption. That's what I do in business. All of it wraps around everything that I do.
And it's great that you say that because, again, a number of guests, whether they've said it directly or indirectly, it all starts with being grounded. And the proverbial understanding who you are and whose you are. And especially when you think about, even in business, sometimes people forget part of being in business, it is stewardship. It's providing that access. It's providing those opportunities. And some people phrase it as win-win, but when you really think about it, win-win is you've had an opportunity, you're given other opportunities, and now you're trying to be that conduit to where other people are able to grow and develop and advocate and all these types of things. So a couple of specifics under the business umbrella, what are some of, I'll say, the services / stewardship that you are able to provide?
So we do marketing, we're branding, we're event planning. What I don't have, I have a network that will create a platform for anybody. So if you have an event, we'll come in, we'll film your event, we will do the photography for your event, we create content, social media content, we monitor your content. These are things that are within the Kris10 production.
Okay.
And outside of that, we have P2, which is the ministry side of what I do. It's pizza, free pizza and prayers. So we feed you and we pray with you, and that's it. And we talk about how good God is. And if something comes from that, hey. And I also do this and that. And I've met so many different people with P2. It's just been a blessing. I often go out and I'm saying, oh, we're going to provide pizza and prayers. And I leave with so many jewels and so many connections and just the essence of everything that God has for us. It's like the circle of life, I would call it.
Okay.
So P2, Kris10 production, those are the two major things that we're doing right now.
And it's great because you've got, in regards to helping people develop and strengthen their platforms, you have those different lenses, like you said, from events to photography to branding and things along those lines.
Oh, yeah.
And even through that, and like you were explaining with P2, it's still that opportunity to be that steward, to be that just that place where people can just kind of pause and just slow down the moving parts. And I think that's just something good to know for anybody. All of us have different moving parts, or this unexpected thing happens and that thing happens, and it's like it's an opportunity for people just to kind of I remember some of the our elders would say, I'm not going to lock myself in a closet, but the whole idea of being able to steal away for a couple moments and just slow it down and just breathe and just reboot and recalibrate, and then helping identify something that is speaking with that person and speaking to that challenge at the time. And it's like, now I've got a little bit more clarity as to how to navigate through and peace of mind. And it's, like you said, it is kingdom building and it is bridge building.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
It's always good to know you have a support system. You know what I mean? And so we come in as a support system. We're coming in saying, hey, we're walking with you. We got you. What's the vision? What are we doing? That way you're a part of it. You understand what's happening, and we're forward moving. Period. And that's life.
And hey, that makes total sense to me. I don't know about y'all. It makes sense to me. Shoot. Go ahead and put it into place. So as we get ready to just about wind down this individual segment, share with our viewers some projects around the immediate horizon that people can engage, connect, and support. And then after that, remind our viewers the best ways to engage and connect with you.
Perfect. So I have had the chance to meet some amazing people. Teresa, her name is Teresa Edwards, Miss Entertainment. She created a platform. It is called the Ready to Live Tour. We jump off that tour October the 19th. So myself and Malum Ligon, who is a senior spiritual coach. Listen, if you're learning to live, love, and create your own happiness, this is the platform. We just want to spread internal growth, internal life. October the 19th, check me out on Kris10 D Kinder on Facebook and Kris10 D Kinder on Instagram. And that's my personal page. You'll be able to see the updates, where we're going with that. That's the first thing. Now, this is something that I am very proud of. On November the 16th, we will be in the sweet town of Stonecrest. And we're kicking off the International Day. and that's with Denise Powell. And that starts from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's the International Unity Day. So come out. We'll have different cultures. We'll have music. We're going to have a short film festival. So if you guys are short film directors, if you write content, if you're looking to audition, we're going to have the entire cast of Ambitions on the OWN Network there to do a Q&A. So we're going to have the cast, we're going to have the director, and you will be amazed at some of the sweet surprises that we have for you. So definitely come out. Those are the immediate things. Did I cover that? Did I get that?
You know what? I think that was relatively thorough, if you ask me. Yes,
Okay.
yes. Very, very eloquent and fluid, and it's just like peace rolling down, just rolling down the little creek. Remember, we used to go down by the creek. So I tell you what, at this point, we're going to go ahead and take our first commercial break, but we're going to bring you back a little bit later on for the group recap. And ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned into the Conversation Corner with your host, Author Andrew Snorton, and we'll be right back after this commercial break. And ladies and gentlemen, we are back on the Conversation Corner on the Status Network Live TV, and we've got our second guest, who is, oh my goodness, you've seen us from day one when you were,
Indeed,
if you
indeed.
can go that far back to October 20, it should have been October 28th last year. And this gentleman right here was my first interview, doing
Happy
so
to be back,
many,
man.
so
Happy to be
many
back.
great things. Mr. Brown, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me back, man.
Hey.
Definitely enjoying being here at the Conversation Corner.
Yeah, and it's perfect timing because I just got back from the SIP
Oh,
a
man.
little while ago.
Beautiful
so-
place, beautiful people.
Exactly. There's some good people out there.
Oh,
So
yeah.
for our viewers, refresh our viewers' memories a little bit about, we've already established, originally from Mississippi, you're based in the Metro Atlanta area.
Yes.
Could you walk through with our viewers a little bit about the platforms that you're able to use, not only for what you're doing business-wise, but in regards to the whole stewardship and advocacy theme, some of the platforms that you're working with?
Well, I guess first off, most people know me here in Atlanta as an activist. I try to be very, very involved in the community. I think that's first and foremost in anything that we do. The community has to be intertwined in anything I do. And I know a lot of people will see me doing a lot of things, but that's one thing that you will always see at the base of whatever I'm doing. The community will be involved. So I try to partner with organizations. I'm a member of the NAACP Atlanta branch. They're doing a bunch of good work here in Atlanta in the community. Shout out to Attorney Gerald Griggs. He's the vice president of the Atlanta chapter.
He is out there. That's
yeah.
one thing you can't say he's not. He is out there.
Right. So,
definitely.
Just some really, really good people around, older and younger. You know what I'm saying? We bringing movements together to try to get work done. So shout out to the NAACP Atlanta, Richard Rose, who's the president. A lot of good things going on.
And so, wow. So just on the advocacy piece, now I remember when we spoke way back when, I know one of the big things was definitely with the state of Georgia, and so I'll just go ahead and say it politely, the voting shenanigans that were taking place, where someone who was the Secretary of State didn't have to resign his position, and as anybody knows, Secretary of State kind of makes the call in regards to who's eligible to vote, and even with that type of gerrymandering, he won by like 1 vote. So walk us through, regarding the voting piece, what are some things that you are doing as well as your collaborative, I'll say your collaborative team, regarding keeping an eye out on the elections? Because we know big election cycle next year.
Very, very true.
And, but not only on the national level, we still got to pay attention to local and state. So walk through with our viewers on the voting end, some of the things that you are doing right now or are on the horizon.
Yeah, one of the biggest things we, no matter what we do in activism, one of the things that we constantly do is voter registration. Your voice is your vote. You know what I'm saying? Your vote is your voice. So just trying to get not just young people, but older people, people of all ages, especially in our communities. A lot of times in our communities, we lose hope. We think nothing's changing. We think that, things won't get better, but a vote is the only way in America to overthrow something without, just brute force, and so it's one of the, I always tell people, that's one of the easiest ways for you to get involved in your community and change things. And yes, we do have a really big election coming up in 2020, the presidential election, and I think a lot of us see what happens when we don't go vote, from last time.
And you make a good point, and people are like, well, voting doesn't matter. Voting is, like you said, the easiest form of access, and what a lot of people don't understand is that some of these positions that are appointments, the people who do the appointing are people that have to be elected.
Oh, yeah.
So people have to understand the direct and indirect implications of being a proactive part of the process or not even paying attention to it at all. So I definitely commend the ongoing work you're doing, and not just, and I kid around at times. I know, me being a little bit silly, sarcastic.
A little fun every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, who knew? But you can't be engaged only when someone shows up on Sunday.
Right. And that's one of the biggest things I try to teach people, and that's one of the biggest reasons I got into, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, the creative aspect of things. Because, I think all of us at some point in life have heard older people preaching at us, you need to do this or you need to do that. And one thing I found out, I'm 34-year-old, young black man. And one thing I'm starting to notice now that I call this the tweener age, where you're old enough to understand old people, but you're young enough to understand what young people are saying. And so
you're in your brilliant stage right now. You just understand everybody.
I try to be humble, that we can call it that.
Okay.
I like being called brilliant, so we can definitely go with that. But when you sit back and you just watch, because we're millennials, so we were the first generation to get the internet. We were the first generation to, know what it was like to not have a cell phone and to have one in our hands every day. And so in a sense, we have 2 generations where the older people, they just not trying to hear some stuff. They don't want to upgrade to the iPhone, or they don't want to do anything technology. And then you have young people who know nothing but technology. And so we're the bridge generation. I may have to translate, what this young person is saying for this older person, and letting them know that, just because you're a little bit different doesn't mean you're not on the same page.
Right.
It's just a matter of understanding one another and using older people's wisdom and using younger people's strength to get things done.
It's almost like you said, you're taking the best of what people bring to the table, and how do you blend that, and how do you, for lack of a better term, cast a wider net to encompass more people, but also just having that structure and that platform in place to like identify areas of concern, what things based on what we know and what we have access to, what can we do and what do we still need to do.
Yeah.
So in regards to voting, what are some of the other, I'll say right now, I'll say in the immediate quarter or what have you, what are some other key areas of concern that your collaborative team, your collaborative group, is working on?
Yeah, one of the biggest things we're working on, and even my company Trillmonger, who you all can see on my shirt, Trillmonger, it's a creative agency, it's a media agency, and we focus on creative things. So anything you can think of, if you want to do a TV show, if you want to do a photo shoot, if you want your makeup done for your things, like we can bring that all together for you. And I think a lot of the ways that we are starting to intertwine activism is through creativity, because you're used to seeing, oh, you got to do things this way, you got to do things that way. And it's a whole new world out here. And you see people using different means to get to where they need to go. So I always tell people, first of all, you got to think outside the box. If you have a problem that's been around for forever, if it's been around for forever, you may need to use some different techniques to try to, solve it.
That's true. Like if you go to Krispy Kreme and complain the donuts are cold, you need to see what the hot donut sign is on.
Exactly. So it's one of those things to where just teaching people to think about things differently from different aspects and not being afraid to think. I'm an advocate of thinking. You'd be surprised, a lot of times we get out of bed and we ask God to, do all these things for us, not realizing that He's given us all the tools that we need. You know what I'm saying, when we wake out of bed. Now, it's up to you to figure things out, through people around you, through your talents, different skills like that. But for the most part, people always ask me why I'm so confident. I'm not cocky, but you ask me if I can do something, I'm probably going to be like, yeah, I probably can do that.
Yeah, no, but you make a valid point. And I think, and one of the things that you said during that portion was when you first get out of bed and you take time to set the tone for how your day is going to go. And taking that time to, for like term, when you're praying or meditating, be specific.
Very specific.
Be specific and be intentional, and hopefully what you're being specific on is going to be as much of a growth experience as possible, not just for you, but for the people that you are connected with and impacting, because you understand it's bigger than just you.
Exactly. And I always tell people, if you have a plan and it's not big enough for you to need other people's help, it's not big enough. And that's why I always tell people, always ask me, man, how do you get so much stuff done? Like, man, you're doing music, you're doing activism, you're doing, you're plant scientist.
Yeah, you are covering a whole lot of ground. I look up, man, I be getting lazy eye looking at you. My eyes, I'm like, how is this guy still doing all this stuff? But
that's just a testament to the team that I have. You know what I'm saying? I won't say behind me, beside me, because when we go into a room, we go in together. And then you may see this solid front that may be me, but you'd be surprised 100, 200 people behind me that, if Dominic can't go get lunch, I ain't ate all day and it's just lunch on my desk, you know what I'm saying? Like, just the small things that keep you going. And I always tell people, in this society, we've got to the point of where, it's this misnomer, like, I don't need to do this all by myself. Now, there's some very talented people out there. And I'm not saying what the next person can do, but for me, from what I've learned, you got to have a team. You got to make things happen at the level that you want them to happen. I can do a lot of things by myself. I'm a very talented guy, but I'm also a smart guy too, and I'm smart enough not to try to do everything out here by myself.
Yeah, and you said a lot. Like you said, there's times where, you've got to take ownership, and there are some things that, yes, you do have to do. But like you said before, you having that support network and when you think about a statement where two or more are gathered, as long as your mind's clear, but two or more are gathered. Let's put that out there. Well, let's make sure your mind is right. But when you have two or more gathered, there are definitely great things that happen. Indeed. There are definitely great things that can happen. Indeed. So again, you've got the umbrella, the activism, the music piece. I'll still kind of say like the arts and entertainment and the stewardship. What are a couple of things that are on the horizon, that are in the works, that definitely the immediate and interlocking community can plug in and be a part of?
We got so much stuff going on. We just got finished with school just started, so we've been doing a lot of back to school stuff and different things like that to get the kids as well as the teachers ready. But we're gonna try something a little bit different this year, because I feel like everybody at the beginning of the school year, they want to get supplies and different things like that. So me and my brother Scotty Smart, with the Smart Foundation, we're gonna work on adopting classrooms and adopting teachers. So they not only have what they need, at the beginning of the year, but they have things all throughout the school year. So we'll be setting up, a lot of dope things so you all can donate and support to come out and just help, because I think not a lot of people realize, well, I won't say that not a lot of people realize. I don't think a lot of people appreciate the level of work that these teachers go through to make sure their rooms are ready, to make sure that the kids have what they need, because a lot of times these teachers become parents almost. They're literally taking care of some of these kids. So and our teachers don't get paid that much, so we got to make sure that we do what we need to support them.
And you said a lot, and I think the thing is, like you said, the beginning of the year, people are aware of getting off to a good start, but those needs are year round.
Indeed.
And that's not just, like you said, from supplies to whatever. The needs are ever present.
Yeah.
And it's great that what you're doing, looking at taking it the next step to adopting a classroom, and to a degree you're setting a template or model for other nonprofits, for other community-based entities. Be like, hey, you know what? Maybe that means we need to do something each quarter. If we can't adopt, we can still do something on a more consistent level.
And that's what we want to do. This is Atlanta. Like, what I'm saying? This people look at Atlanta, for examples, like all throughout the world, whether it be, this is the home of the civil rights movement, you know what it's like to be an activist in Atlanta. That's some hollow ground you're walking on. We've had some really, really major people in the movement come out of Atlanta. So to be able to, even work with some of the people that I work with, to be able to walk beside some of the people that I walk with, including you, and a lot of other influential people, it just lets you know that you're not by yourself out here. Even when things get hard and it seems tough, it's kind of like Atlanta is one of those places where you literally can look up and be like, all right, brother, like I still see you working, let me get back up and get to it.
And that was very kind of you to say, and I think, and I know this is really an extension of who you are, plain and simple. And it's the proverbial, when the spotlight's on you, you're putting it and shifting it. As now that you're paying attention to me, we need to pay attention to this. And I'm asking you to join me. And that's huge. And you're having the conversation with and being like, look, let's sit down and talk for a minute.
Right.
Like real talk. Let's sit down and talk for a minute. Get some red Kool-Aid and
gotta keep it real.
Yeah,
all
got
the
to.
way.
The sugar water. You know how I used to do. Pour it and count to like 5, man. But no,
about 10
but
for me.
okay.
You
See,
I'm not feeling you.
but no, it's real. And I think the great thing about what makes you and your team effective is that you really are focused on, let's sit down and chat. And this is what, you might be aware of this much, but there's more to it. It's
Right.
like, y'all used to eating appetizers, but there's an entire thing on the menu.
Yeah.
And it's like, we got to go into the entrees, we got to go into the dessert and whatever, and realize, let's get as complete a picture as possible.
And that's very necessary. And I always tell people, I try to be humble, because there are plenty of things that I don't know, and people take the time to, my mentors, Tab, hopefully you watching this. I appreciate you. Mike, hopefully you see this, and I appreciate you. But like, it's a lot of people that's teaching me things, and when people come to me and ask me for help, I try to be humble enough to take the time and sit down. And people ask me, man, they be like, dude, you talk a lot. And I don't talk a lot because I like talking, but I literally like to understand people, where you coming from, how you feel. And it's not a matter of right or wrong. It's a matter of principle. Can I respect you as a man? Can I respect you as a woman? Can I respect you as a human being, to see where you come from? And then you'll be surprised how much in common you have with people, or how much you can learn about people's cultures, people's, problems, people's perspective. And it helps you grow as a person. So I just always try to keep that mindset in life.
Well, please continue to keep that mindset. And then, like you said, you can learn a whole lot when you take time to talk with and listen to. And just in regards to your approach, reminds me of words my grandmommy say, you take time to see about folks. And that's what you're really doing when you're a steward.
Hey, that's what you're doing. Oh, yeah.
It's all right. Yeah, it's part of it's a sip. Part of it is a sip. But it's more than that. And that's something that anyone that's really sat back and observed or engaged or what have you. That's one of the things that's about you. The part of the reason that you know what you know, you take time to listen, but you take time to share and exchange. And it's like I said earlier, when the spotlight's been on you, you've been so quick and adept to shifting it to, this is why we're here.
Yeah.
This is what we're really talking about. This is where it's an area of concern. This is why we probably don't want to go that way. This is why, you drink your Kool-Aid red and your tea sweet and all that type of stuff.
Hey, man, sometimes I always tell people, and that's why I like entertainment so much also, because you can use it to shift the paradigm and put attention where you want to. And sometimes, like, we like fun. We're entertaining people. Like, that's the souls of black people.
Right.
Like, that's just who we are. And so, like, if I can grab your attention through music and direct a message through that music, people ask me, like, man, like, because I told people I never want to be a rapper. I'm not a rapper. I don't want to be a rapper. I don't want to be artist from that standpoint, but being behind the scenes and being able to manage artists and being able to touch their messages and to direct them, hey, how can I get this from this point to this point? You'd be surprised, where a lot of the entertainment aspects of what we do get us down at the Capitol, or you'd be surprised how things can intertwine.
Oh, yeah, you'll be surprised because it's surprising. You never know. It's almost like you go where it takes you. Seriously, you go where it takes you. It used to be go as far as you can go. Now, go where it takes you because you're going to learn something along the way. So as we get ready to wind down your individual segment and before we take our commercial break and do our PSAs and bring everybody back and all that type of thing, could you please let our viewers know the best ways to connect and engage and ultimately lend support to the work that y'all are doing?
Oh, man, you can find me on social media. I'm probably on Instagram the most. My personal Instagram is TL Activist, the local activist, but it's just the letters TL and the word activist. So go follow me there. My business page is Trillmonga, TRILLMONGA. Go check out trillmonga.com. We got a lot of dope stuff coming out. I don't even have the time to tell y'all the stuff we have in the works for you all because it's gonna be that dope. But we have first artist. His name is Rubber Band from Detroit.
Right.
He lives here in Atlanta now. Dope music project coming out. We got M16 Beats, Grammy nominated producer. He did I Do by Andre 3000 and Young Jeezy. He did Duffel Bag Boy by Lil Wayne and Player Circle. This is real deal, project. So, this not your boyfriend's mixtape. This is like real, So when I tell you we're doing music for real.
That is awesome. That's awesome. So what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our next commercial break. When we come back, we'll do our public service announcements, recap with our guests, and then some closing words. This is the Conversation Corner with your host, Author Andrew Snorton. And ladies and gentlemen, we are back on the Conversation Corner with your host, Author Andrew Snorton, on the Status Network, the live TV channel. We've got both of our guests to do our group recap. But before we do the group recap, we're going to knock out a few of our public service announcements and then get some closing remarks from our two wonderful guests. So again, doing great work across the board. And, like I said before, we'll go ahead and knock out our PSAs to get those taken care of. Real quick, shouts to one of our guests from our last show, Know the Cloth. That's a snapshot of their launch, which was bringing a bunch of creatives together from art, fashion, culinary, things along those lines. That took place this past Saturday. So shouts to all the businesses that were a part of it. Shouts to Shonda to make that happen. So again, Know the Cloth. They were one of our guests on our last show, which was August the 14th. Our next public service announcement coming up on the screen. Shouts to our friends at Majority Greek Magazine. They actually did a great event this past Friday out at Pirates Cove, the miniature golf piece. They've got another great event coming up on October 12th from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Baby Dolls Against Cancer is actually a great creative way. Photo shoot, things along those lines, and proceeds are going to benefit Charge Up campaign. So doing some great work in advocacy regarding health and cancer. So shouts again to Majority Greek. Our next public service announcement. After the show, thank you. After the show, even if you are not necessarily a cigar fan, that is okay. You still want to consider meeting us at Maduro's. Maduro's located on Cumberland Boulevard. After the show, and this is going to be starting a new collaborative piece after each show, which is every second and fourth Wednesday. So about 8:30, give or take, we're going to meet up at Maduro's. They've got a great ventilation system. I know I've been there a few times. So you don't have to necessarily worry about, the over cigar scent. Great daily specials, things along those lines. So again, shouts to our friends Roberto and Pat at Maduro's. So meet us at Maduro's after the show from about 8:30 until close. Our next public service announcement. And yes, and you're going to hear a little bit of this at the very end, but we are proud to announce after a couple of weeks of handling business in collaboration with Third Level Entertainment. So shouts to Kevon, shouts to our folks at Canis Major Digital. We finally are proud to announce the official release of the Author's Mixtape, Volume 1, Organic Musings from H2O. And the reason why we call it that, literally what they did, they put me in a studio, they pulled out a topic and said, you got 10 minutes to come up with something. They had 10 minutes to come up with something. We did everything in one take. So it's a 7-track EP that you can download. You see some of the things, Spotify, iTunes, Tidal, Apple Music, Amazon, Shazam, and more. I believe it's pretty much up to 200 different platforms. So cop the audio book. You see the info, and you'll hear a little snippet at the end. But before we get to that, we definitely want to take time to recap with our guests, as y'all doing some major stuff. Like seriously, y'all are doing some major things, and not only through the lens of business, but also the advocacy piece. Chris, share with our viewers again the whole point of how you're able to immerse your faith and spirituality, your stewardship and outreach, and not only be an advocate that way, but just through all the different moving parts you have business-wise. Walk through with our viewers on that again.
Again, the bottom line is that the first act of anything that will happen courageously in your life is faith. And faith is not just saying I believe in something. Faith is actually moving in it. So what we do, we come in and we allow you to share your vision, and we move in that with you. We're with you. It's like a resource, right? So we have a resource that allows us to get different components. Like he said before, we are the videography, we are the photography, we are the social media content, we are the branding, we are the marketing. We are the moving parts of your vision. Wherever it is that you're going, we're going to move with you. So the Bible, again, says where there's no vision, what happens?
Those without vision will perish.
That's deep, right?
Real deep.
We come in, and our motive is to tap into the vision. We tap into the vision, and we move. We come together, and we move, and there's power in numbers. So pretty much that's the faith move. We call it the faith move. Imagine believing in something so much, you actually get up and do something about it with a helping hand.
That is huge, and that is definitely major, and it's meaningful. Dominic, again, you've got your share of moving parts, the advocacy pieces, arts, things along those lines. Remind our viewers again, just that bigger purpose and that bigger push with all the work that you're doing.
Yeah, just I know a lot of people see me doing a lot of things. Once again, follow me on Instagram, TL Activist, and Trailmonger. But I always tell people, once again, it may look like I'm doing a lot of things, but I'm actually only doing one. And that's bringing my people together, my community, you know what I'm saying? Even our leaders, all the way down to the person that thinks that, I can't do anything. Yes, you can. I always tell people one person really can't change the world. We see it every day. And so just instilling that faith and that power back into our community to realize that, we don't have to be, victims. We don't have to be on the bad end of the stick all the time. We can stand up. Right. And it may take a little bit of sacrifice, but, I was always taught if you ever want anything in life, nobody's going to give it to you. Life is the only thing that's going to keep coming. That's whether you're up, whether you're down, whether you're in between. Life is going to be life. So it's one of those things to where no matter what I do, I try to let people see the reality of things. And that's really the basis of Trailmonger, because Hollywood can be so fake.
Yeah.
It can be so, I can get on Instagram every day and make it look like I'm living in this awesome world.
Yeah.
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like, if you think about The Roots, the video, what they do.
Yeah.
And another thing, and backpedaling real quick, you made a very good point. It's like you're aware of this, you're aware of your situation, but where you are is where you're always going to be.
Yep.
The only thing constant in life is change. So, and a lot of times, just being worldly minded, sometimes we try to keep everything the same. Yeah. I always tell people, if you're not growing, if you're not changing, if you're not evolving constantly, you're doing something wrong. So it's always good to step back and have a little self-evaluation, because sometimes we're so quick to point the finger at other people and tell them they should have went right when they should have went left. So life is hard. I always try to look at the human factor. We all fall, we all make mistakes, we all get ourselves and dust ourselves off. So don't be too hard on people. It's good to be a good friend and to be like, hey, Andrew, I think you might need to come back over here for a but, and I expect that from you. That's what a good friend does, and that's the community aspect that I try to bring to everything I do. That's why you see, I know a lot of people, but my circle is small. Like people that I can trust, people that I know that have my back, and vice versa, because, once again, the world is a very scary place at times, if we're just being real. Yeah. But there's also beauty in life also, so you have to search, you have to find, and you have to believe in that balance of life. You can't have day without night. You can't have sunshine without rain. So it's one of those things. I always try to be a balanced person and teach people that and bring that aspect to our community.
Right. Well, definitely you said a lot.
Yes.
Real quick, again, let viewers know the best ways to connect and engage.
Best ways to connect, you can find me on Facebook. I am Kris10 Kinder. You'll see me in a hat with some curls, looking serious. You'll see me on Facebook and as well as Instagram, Kris10 D Kinder. My business page is Kris10, that's KRIS, the number 10 _ productions on Instagram, and Kris10 _ photography _ as well on Instagram.
Okay, real quick, how folks can connect and engage with you.
I said, most of the time you can catch me on Instagram. My personal page is TL Activist, TLACTIVIST. My business page is Trailmonger, at TRILLMONGA. Once again, to stay abreast on what's going on as far as activism, definitely follow my personal page. If you want to keep up with the entertainment side and where we're going with that, definitely follow Trailmonger. Also, shout out to A.O. Spade, which is our creative agency, housed under Trailmonger. My business partner, Telvin, is doing a lot of dope stuff out here. So shout out to him. He makes a lot of the wheels turn for a lot of things we do also, so can't really leave him out. Shout out to all the activists in Atlanta. I see y'all working hard. It's definitely a team effort. We'll go from there.
Well, definitely for both of you, thanks for, number one, taking and making the time. Number two, sharing your stories of impact, not only, like I said, through the lens of what you're doing professionally, a little bit of overlap with arts and entertainment, but at the forefront, or really the foundation, it really is about your stewardship, and it's about your service, and about what can I do to make as positive an impact as possible on as many people as possible. So continued blessings and well wishes with all that you're working on. As we get ready to close out, just a couple of real quick reminders. Again, we air every second and fourth Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Definitely make sure to don't let this be the only time that you see and connect with folks and everything. Now, we were fortunate to bring back someone for the second time, but please, ladies and gentlemen, with all of our guests, not just our guests for tonight, but any of the guests that we've had since way back when in October, keep track of these folks, connect, engage, support. And that's what's going to help keep it going. The next time that we will air will be on September 11th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as we get ready to close out, we're going to close out on a creative note. As I was sharing a little bit about the backstory behind the author's mixtape. So what we're going to do, we're going to close out with listening to that introduction. Make sure, real quick, guys, especially for September 20th, when I'm doing the signing at Wake Forest University, a portion of the downloads for that day, as well as a portion of all the book signings for that day, are going to end up supporting the School of Divinity, the Intercultural Center, and the Magnolia Scholars, which targets first-generation college students. So, hey, they're leading by example, and, hey, you got to go ahead and fall in line, basically. So we're going to close out on that. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, as you listen to the intro, we're going to go ahead and take it on out. Author Andrew Snorton. And today's project is the Author's Mixtape, Volume 1, From H to O, looking at things a little bit differently compared to other poetry and spoken word pieces. This is done in partnership with Third Level Entertainment Music Group, and the way we did our spoken word is a little bit different. What you're about to hear is purely organic. In other words, the topics were picked, given to me. Then I had 10 minutes to come up with something, and they had 10 minutes to come up with instrumentals. You'll hear 2 instrumental tracks and 4 traditional tracks. So sit back, relax, take it all in, and remember, this is the first of what'll be soon to come, the Author's Mixtape.